Hello friends! Alright, this video we're going to talk about the word propaganda. Now you probably think I'm sounding like Meghan Markle in her podcast, going over words. Well, yeah, we're not going over personal words like she did. We're going over words that are more broader in scope and that are more, affect more people and nations. Okay. So, I have noticed in the last few years that whenever I hear people talk about, recently, like they'll talk about World War II and things, and they're like, oh, American propaganda. And I sort of take offense to that term because propaganda is technically a negative term. Somebody, I don't think you would hear the Americans during World War II calling, they would be calling it patriotism and love for their country. They wouldn't be calling what their evidences are as propaganda. Now, of course, the propaganda is something you call what the enemy is doing. And it's usually associated with being sneaky and lying and cheating. I mean, yes. So I'm expecting, well, possibly the left-wingers do use propaganda in relation to, the Americanism, because they do feel that America is corrupt, and they have a point. But I would say that the word propaganda is used to denigrate and to imply, corruption, and not the way patriotism. Whereas, obviously, you expect, Hitler would say American propaganda, or where Americans would say, German propaganda. So it's a negative term that implies lies. And so I kind of, take offense at using that word when applying to your own country. I mean, you could say that it's just about fitting the definition. It doesn't mean lies. It just fits the definition of your promotion. Propaganda just means promotion of your own country's ideals. But I said, when someone in the country uses that word, you think that they are sort of against their country. And when we use terms, we would use terms like Russian propaganda or Chinese propaganda, or, Democrats would say Trump propaganda, conservatives would say Biden, left-wing propaganda, Typically you use the word propaganda if you want to use it in a negative context. So, I guess the question is, if you agree with something, would you use the word propaganda if you are for it? And so someone calling their country propaganda, to me that sort of intimates disloyalty or dislike. Whereas if you are pro your own country, that would be patriotism, So what do you all think? Propaganda or patriotism? Or has propaganda just become more of the academic term because the, I don't know, I would say the left dislikes, probably dislikes World War II and America's past, so therefore propaganda is placed onto that, the label propaganda is used. Whereas, like I said, personally, as a patriotic American, I would use World War II patriotic films instead of World War II propaganda films. Obviously, I would say, if there was German films, they would say they were German propaganda films. But the Nazis would say these are German patriotic films. So personally, I think the word propaganda, when applied to one's own nation, implies disloyalty. What do you think? And is it just come to be used more frequently because of the academics and their opposition to America as a whole. But, it doesn't make sense with the academics and the left being in opposition to America, because then why are they so excited to have the immigrants come here? Because wouldn't they be telling immigrants, stay away, this country is a dirty, rotten, stinking country, it's racist, it's going to be mean to you, it's an awful country, stay away. Why aren't they making a fuss and putting up signs and saying, stay away? That seems to be hypocritical. If the left really thinks this country is a bad country, they should be telling immigrants, don't come here. So by saying this country is a bad country and telling the immigrants to come here, that either implies they are, being hypocrites, and they're either trying to lure the immigrants into a bad place to take advantage of them, or they are trying to use the immigrants to undermine the side that they don't like, the right. Or, well, you could say maybe they, even though they think this is a terrible country, they want the immigrants to come here to help make it a better country. You could say that. But I would say that it does call into question their motives. So, all right. Patriotism or propaganda, and what do you think? Leave the comments below. All right, we'll talk to you next time. Let freedom ring.